Hello hobby friends, I'm Jason and this is Level Up Hobbies. Today on the channel we are going to be jumping into the Lion's Guard box, complete with Lionel Johnson and his honor guard. Today we're going to be working on the Lion's Guard themselves, only we're not using the ones in the box. These are just Bladeguard veterans, plain. It doesn't even come with a Dark Angels upgrade sprue to tie them into your army. So what we're going to be doing, not using that, we're going to be customizing our own. So it's not a difficult process, but kind of time consuming. So let's go ahead, let's jump in and let's start building my version of the Lion's Guard. I'll see you guys at the end.
Okay, let's get started on the Lion's Guard. We are working on his retinue right now and not the lion himself. Hopefully I'll get to him pretty soon because I'm really amped to get him built. But for now, it's just his basically personal guard. And for this, in the box is a unit of Bladeguard veterans. And normally I really like the Bladeguard veterans. They do not fit into my I don't know, my feel of the Dark Angels, the view that I'm trying to get across of the Dark Angels. They're just too plain, too vanilla for me right now. So for this, I am going to replace them with Sword Brethren from the Black Templars. Now, this box has some exquisitely detailed, models in it. They're very, very full of character, and they tie into that feel of the Dark Angels, their veterans squad, that you would see from ages past. And it kind of surprised me that, they hadn't released a Dark Angels veteran squad yet, similar to these like Sword Brethrens. So we're going to use these as the base kit, and I'm just going to go ahead and get them cut out and get the main body built, put together, so we can start working up from that. So we'll go through, we'll clip out the sprues, we'll clip the pieces out of the sprues, and then get them cleaned up, get them fit together, and we'll start moving on from there with the customization. Now, most of the times whenever I'm doing my conversions, it's a really quick just addition of details that I kind of do on the fly. But for this unit, I've done a lot of planning, and I just kind of sat down and just made some notes. Like, I want to use this body from this unit, and I'm going to use these arms and these shields or heads. And so I did a lot of like looking around and just finding the pieces that I wanted to use, and then trying to source them. So this took a lot of planning to get to where it is now. Now this unit is great to convert to Dark Angels veterans, but it is covered in Black Templars iconography. So there is some prep work that will have to go into this. So we've got the iron stars here that I'm just going to trim off. These come off very easy. There's one on the chest of the tabard that takes a little bit more effort, but if you take your time and just use your blade, just slowly scrape away at that detail, it turns out great. And it's not a lot of effort. It just takes a little bit of time to do it right. I do some dry fitting to see which arms I want to use with the different poses. And once I find the ones that go with the dynamic, positioning that I'm looking for, I take those and I will go ahead and chop off the swords or whichever weapon that the character is holding, and then I'll get that area cleaned up and prepped for the sword or shield that I'll be replacing it with. Right here I am just using my scalpel to shave off some of the details that wrap around the hand because this arm is going to be holding a shield. So these details, they kind of get in the way, and so I need a flatter surface so I can get a good connection. And once these are shaved off and flat, then I can test fit to see how the shield works with it. So I get that excess cut away and I'm doing a test fit, but it's still not sitting right. So I have to go back in and just do a couple more adjustments until it can sit flush, like within where that shield handle would be for it. So I mean, it's just a little bit of trial and error. Just work back and forth, work slowly, and just slowly take away that excess until you get a good fit. Now for these bits here, I used the one of the sword arms, like a chain sword arm from the Sword Brethren, and then I used the shields from the Dark Angels Deathwing Knights. It takes a little bit of work to clean the shield up because you have to remove the whole Terminator arm that's attached to it. You can use clippers and a blade, a sharp blade. You take your time. For this one here, I used a Dremel with a small burr attachment and just kind of ground out all that excess plastic. But just whichever you use, take your time and just do it right so you don't ruin the piece that you're working with. Okay, so we are done with the shield. Now it's on to a sword. Um, so again, the same thing. We're going to try to find one that works well with the composition that we're going for, and see how it's going to look. Where's the sword going to lay across the body? If it's out, if it's across, that all determines like how you're going to paint it, what it's going to look like in the long run. So find a good one that works with the composition you're looking for. And once you've got it, just take and you just cut that right off at the hand. Very simple to cut through the swords. If it's a bigger chunk than this to cut through, I would either use some clippers or a small jeweler's saw. And once you've got that cut off, just clean up the edges and the top of the hand so you'll have a nice clean surface to attach the new sword. Now, since I am using a new resin sword, I will have to, what I'm going to do here is once I clip it, I will drill a tiny hole and use some metal wire and pin it and use super glue because plastic glue will not work on a resin plastic bond. Now, if you run into an issue where your resin bits are bent or deformed, those can easily be corrected by just warming up some water. I usually just put, a mug of water in the microwave for about a minute or so, and then just dip your resin pieces into the hot water, and that will straighten it out. And you can hold it, and as it cools, it will hold in that the new position. And as you can see there, I was test fitting my piece to make sure everything looked correctly. After I drilled out the pilot holes for the pin, and once I get it to where I like, I again use that super glue to just to make that bond for those two pieces. And now I start assembling all of my bits for the figure. If it's a plastic to plastic bond, I use the plastic glue, and like I showed you previously, a plastic to resin bond, I use the super glue. Just go ahead and apply your whatever fixative you're using and hold it in place until it's secure. and then move on to the next bit. And here I'm dry fitting this sword arm. No matter what model you're building, always take the time and just kind of dry fit your pieces just to ensure that there's enough surface connection that the glue is going to hold. Taking a little bit of time here will prevent issues later on when it comes to painting and prevents you having like gaps and stuff in your connections. And a quick look at the pose to make sure everything is looking correctly. And I'm very happy with how this model is coming along at the moment. It's a pretty dynamic pose, much different than the fairly static pose of the Bladeguard veterans. And this is what I was looking for, is just something a little bit different, a little bit more unique. Okay, and now we're going to start adding some of the other details, such as the pauldrons. Here's the right shoulder pauldron, which for the Deathwing is the broken sword. Unfortunately, my frame wasn't in focus at the moment I was fitting that on there. But this is the Mark III Dark Angels pauldron from Forge World. They are a great source for just detailing out your Dark Angels armies. And I'm using the Mark III because it's a bulkier shoulder pauldron, more like the the heavy like intercessors pauldrons, but more detail. And I think it looks great with this mini. It really fits in with that look and feeling that I'm going for with it. And now I'm working on the left shoulder pauldron, which this is actually a Heresy era Deathwing shoulder pauldron from the Deathwing Companions, the Dark Angels Deathwing Companions. Also, the sword came from the Deathwing Companions. So it's a very good kit to kit bash from and use to just really spruce up and just add a lot of character to your Dark Angels. All right, and that is looking great. I'm loving the feel of this. Now I'm going to dry fit the cloak before I glue it on. I'll use plastic glue on the plastic connections and then super glue where it connects to the right shoulder pauldron. All right, and that is pretty much it. Just one last detail to add here. I'm gonna dry fit this helmet and kind of figure out which direction I want him facing. And then I'm gonna use some super glue and get this mounted in here. This is actually a Forge World Mark VI Dark Angels helmet. It's the I don't know, like the Sergeant uh, winged helm that comes in the blister pack. I love this helmet. I've been using it quite a bit to upgrade my Primaris Dark Angels, just to add more of a knightly flair to their overall aesthetic. All right. Now, I might be a little biased in my opinion of this, but I think he is looking badass. I'm loving the detailing on this. All right, there's one more detail that I forgot to mention, and that is working on the power pack. So the standard Bladeguard veterans come with an iron halo that's kind of just molded onto the power pack, but I didn't want to go with that. I love banners and everything on my Marines, like banners and just emblems on the power packs. Every one of my like veteran sergeants has something on their power pack to denote like their status, either a banner or like this, a Dark Angels like symbol. So I love using these, and I didn't want to pass up this opportunity to include it on my Lions Guard. So here we are. I'm using this. I believe this is from the Dark Angels, like the Raven Wing upgrade sprue. I'm pretty sure that's where this one came from. It's either that or from the Dark Angels, the Veterans box. I know it's been so long since I've got this. I don't really remember, but I'm mounting this so it's got a very nice connection. So I drilled a pilot hole in both the power pack and the Dark Angels symbol here, and I'm using some super glue and just running that down through into the hole of both the power pack and the emblem here. All right, it's looking good. So I grabbed some plastic glue and I just attach it to the model. There's only one way this goes on here, so I'm not too worried about it. Just ensure that it is straight, and that's pretty much the completed model right there. Okay, and here is my first finished Lions Guard. The only thing that I have left to do is to make a base for him and finish his brothers. So here we go with him based, and I am extremely happy how this guy turned out. I know the picture in my mind that I was going for, and I think I knocked that out of the park. It's better than I thought it was going to look. And I mean, I could just be biased because I made it and I'm just really excited with how it looks. I'm really excited about getting him and the other two painted up. But yeah, this guy, this was a very fun project, and I'm glad that I undertook it. And here we have them compared against the normal Bladeguard veterans. Uh, both look great. I usually, really enjoy the models, the Bladeguard veteran models, but I just think that for me, the Lions Guard just needed more. They're still Bladeguard veterans, so none of that changes. But their aesthetic and their look is just, in my opinion, it's far superior than the Bladeguard veterans. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and just let these play out. And thank you guys for joining me on this video on this build. I'm hoping to do a lot more kit bashes in the near future. So please, watch these videos. I think there's a lot in here that you will enjoy and a lot that you can take and use with your own marmies. Uh, so yeah, thanks again, guys, and I'll see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks again for joining me today as I customized my version of the Lions Guard. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a like and subscribe down below. Don't forget to leave a comment, share this video with other people. All of this goes a long way to helping out my channel. Thanks again, and remember, build, paint, and play tabletop games. Later, guys.